Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Schmiegel. I'm the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us today. A little bit different approach to some of the stuff you've seen on Career Connections. Today, we're going to introduce an exciting new technology, what we believe is state-of-the-art technology on a personal branding resume engine that we launched last week in New York City. Before I do that, I wanted to just take you to why we're at this stage today and why we've asked Lindsay Schwab from IO Studios, who helped us develop this technology, to join us. As you know, Hiring Our Heroes has been very focused on community-based efforts, doing hiring fairs across the country. We've been in over 400 cities, more than 450 hiring fairs, and helped more than 18,400 veterans and military spouses land jobs at these hiring fairs. But as we became more and more visible in the communities and our brand grew, we knew that we had to do more. So we've created some technologies online that we launched last week, and one of them is the personal branding resume engine. As the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes, we made a decision to focus on post 9/11 veterans, and particularly veterans 24 and under, and try to provide them with some tools to help them with what we believe are the two main challenges they face. The first one, which is why we developed the personal branding resume engine, is this notion that too many service members out there don't know how to describe their service, to articulate, to talk to an HR managers about what they did in the military in a compelling way. So what we decided to do with IO Studios and the help of Toyota Motor Company and Dakota Meyer, the Medal of Honor recipient, the first living Medal of Honor recipient in 38 years in the Marine Corps, to develop a tool that helps younger veterans talk about the things they did in the military, and not just their military occupation, but their whole of service, their awards, their schools, their deployments. And what's really exciting about this technology is, one, it's easy to use. Two, we've tested it with HR managers and asked them for keywords that they look for in resumes. And three, we've also now tested it with a lot of veterans who have come to our hiring fairs, and they like what they see. So we're going to introduce this today. Please feel free, while Lindsay is talking through the technology, to type in your questions on the Hangout or on YouTube, depending on how you're watching, and we'll answer them as we go along. Of course, I'm going to chime in where I can. Lindsay's used to me cutting her off, and I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay right now to walk you through the personal branding resume engine. Lindsay, it's all on you now. Don't mess it up.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
So hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Like Kevin said, we're really excited to have launched the personal branding resume engine. One of the unique things about this tool, there's a couple things really. One, as Kevin mentioned, it was built with input from veterans and from Fortune 500 companies, HR directors, and HR consultants. So it's a tool that is really designed with the end goal in use, which of course is producing a resume that will help you get a job and that employers will understand. The second great thing about it is that it really takes in all sorts of information from your military experience. And as you'll see as we walk through it, it's not just a job translator or a skills translator like other tools on the market today. It's something that's really new and we hope really helpful. So let's go ahead and walk through the resume engine so we can see how it works. So the first thing we're going to do is go to resumeengine.org, and we'll be able to create a new account there. So can we pull that up on the screen? Great. When you first enter, it's going to show you a How It Works screen. And the How It Works screen has some information about tips and how to add things to your resume, and we'll go through that in greater detail as we walk through the tool. So for the time being, let's click off of that. And you'll start by entering your personal information. Now we ask that you create an account for a couple of reasons. Namely, it allows you to log back in so that you can edit your resume. You don't have to finish it all in one sitting. You can come back to it at any time. So you'll enter your email address and password and be able to log in with that. This personal information you enter here is going to be traditionally formatted on the top of your resume. So your name, address, email address, and phone number, so employers can contact you. And then your military information is going to customize the tool for you. So we do suggest that you enter all of this information again so that it fills out the resume completely and employers have a couple of different ways to get in contact with you. We obviously want to make it as easy as possible. You do need to select that you accept the terms and conditions once you've read them, and you can opt in to receive email communication. It's not spam, we promise. We're sending a helpful series with other tips for now you have your resume, some interview tips, some networking tips, and things like that you'll get via email if you sign up for that. So once you've entered your information, you create an account. All right, and now we're going to get started. So first you're going to input your education information. You can select your highest level of education. If you have a couple of years of college or maybe graduate school under your belt, you can select that option and then input what you've completed towards it. So for example, you could say you've completed 2 years towards a bachelor's degree or 1 year towards an associate's degree. And all of this information will show up on your resume as well. Once you're done, you'll click Save and Continue. All right, here's where the magic really starts to happen. So this is where you're going to input your military job, and this is customized for you based on the branch of the military that you selected when you filled out your application at the beginning. So from the drop-down, you'll select your military job. You can also type in a couple of words for your military job to search for it, and you'll see that it's automatically translated there with the civilian translation. So this is going to have keywords that employers will understand that will help you better be able to explain, if you're looking through it, what exactly your military job entailed. Now there's some other information that we ask for as well. So you'll also enter the dates that you served in that role, and you're going to enter some job-specific responsibilities. So you can see, actually, if you click that little green tip button, if you're having trouble, you can always click this button. And what's going to come up is a definition of what you need to enter. So what is a job-specific responsibility, and how does that differ from what's already up there? And then some examples. And there's always more than one, so you can click through them. You can find one that maybe is similar to something that you did, or something that you can take and modify and make it your own, or just get some inspiration from it. So we do recommend that you enter usually at least 2 job-specific responsibilities. For now, what we have in there is great. Now, if you don't see your job code in the drop-down, you can add a custom one with that area on the bottom that's showing right now. Maybe your job has changed codes or it doesn't exist anymore. So in that case, this other military job section is where you'll want to enter it. An easy trick here would be to find something very similar from the drop-down, and that way you can just copy and paste the civilian description that comes up. And other than that, you're going to enter your job-specific responsibilities in just the same way. You can see on the bottom that it's previewing the information that will show on your resume. It looks a little bit different than it actually will, but just so you can see what you've entered. And then we'll click Save and Continue to move on. If you have more than one military job, you can add as many as you'd like there, but we'll just add the one for now. So as you know, your job is not the only thing that defines your military experience. So the second section, we're going to ask for any advanced schools that you've completed. Some of the most common schools are on that drop-down list. And again, when you select one, a description of the school will automatically populate underneath it. And this will help employers understand what exactly it is. If you can't find your school in the list, we do have, again, the other advanced school section underneath, and you can use that similarly to the other military job section. And again, you can see on the bottom a preview of what the school will look like. So you can add as many as you'd like, and then when you're done, click Save and Continue. Now we have the personal skills section. So this is where the input from the HR directors really came in handy. They suggested some skills that they frequently see from veterans that are very helpful for civilian employment. So these are keywords that people are going to look for, and if your resume is maybe going through a computer-based HR system, that it's going to scan and look for on your resume. So you can select some of your common skills from the drop-down, click Add Another, and then continue along there. You can also enter some custom skills in that bottom section, and you can separate those with a comma if you want to, or click to add a skill that I'll format in your resume just the way they're supposed to either way. So when you're done here, again, click Save and Continue. Now this page is where you're going to enter the ribbons that you've earned. Here you can either click through the ribbons so you can look at them visually and find yours. When you hover over them, you'll see the names of the ribbons, and you can also use the search box in that top left section of the ribbons to enter the name manually and search for them there. So for example, you knew that Iraq was in the name of your ribbon. You can search for that, and all of the ribbons that have that will show up. You can select as many as you want. The top 15 that you choose are going to display on the photo at the top, which is able to be shared on Facebook very easily. If you accidentally select in a word that you didn't mean to select, you can click it again and it'll remove it. These are going to show on your resume in a list. The visual is just for this section for your viewing pleasure. So once you're done adding your ribbons, you'll click Save and Continue. So now you're done adding your military experience, and we're going to move to the civilian experience section. This first section is the personal summary, and it's really important. It's probably one of the hardest to complete because it requires a bit of thinking, but this is your elevator pitch. This is going to go right on the top of your resume. It's what employers see first. So this explains to employers clearly, concisely, quickly what it is that you have to offer and what makes you special. So there's a few examples here on the page to get you started with some ideas. You can click through them. And there's also a list of phrases that you may want to choose from. These phrases were recommended by human resources professionals as qualities that employers look for. As a veteran, you likely have a lot of these qualities, but remember the goal here is to be short and concise.
Lindsay, if I could just add a couple of comments real quickly.
Sure.
I think first I want to reiterate with the listeners, viewers out there, that if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at any time. We'll answer them as we go along. I think the most important thing for veterans out there who are viewing or transitioning service members, especially those who are E5s and below, and trying to put a resume together. What I'm excited about is the fact that we are showing them the words that HR managers are looking for in resumes. A lot of resumes are online systems. Companies have in place that weed out resumes that don't have keywords. What we're trying to do is give them a tool where they're going to get those keywords and their resumes are going to be considered. So you can go. If you have any questions, make sure you ask Lindsay. Otherwise, she'll keep talking all day.
All right. So the final section to complete here is your civilian work history. If you don't have any civilian work history or you're not interested in entering any, that's fine. The section is optional, so you can feel free to skip it. But if you do, you're going to enter your job information here. So you'll start with your employer's name and the dates that you worked there, and then follow that up with your job title and a description. You're going to be brief and generic with your job description because, again, you do have the job-specific responsibility bullets, which is where you're going to get more into a list of your daily tasks. And again, throughout the entire tool, we have the green tip arrows. So if you ever have trouble or need a reminder of what the difference between maybe a job description and a job-specific responsibility is, you can click on the tips, get some examples, and remind yourself. Again, we can preview how it'll look on the resume, and then we'll move on. So you're done. You've entered all your information. This final screen is not actually how your resume is going to look. What this is a preview of the information that you've entered in the tool in the order that you've entered it. Now you can see that there's a couple of notifications, those green exclamation points. If you click on that, it's going to tell you that maybe you've forgotten to enter something or you haven't entered enough information. In this case, we suggest that you add at least 2 job-specific responsibilities. So I think the case here is that we only have 1. Again, this is sort of a best practice. So these are tips that we've heard from HR professionals who do look at resumes very frequently. So if you just want to put 1, that's fine. That's your choice. But the tool is going to alert you that it might not be the best option. So you can click Edit on the left-hand side of those, and it will take you directly back to that section to edit it. So why don't we do that? So you'll see it goes right back to the section that you clicked Edit on, and you have the opportunity to add something or delete something or change something. Then when you click Save and Continue, it's going to take you back to where you were before. So when you're satisfied with how everything looks here, you're going to click Preview and Download on the left-hand side. Now you'll see your formatted resume on the screen with all your information included. Something important to note is that your military and your civilian work experience is included in the same section chronologically. So your military experience isn't called out on its own. It's your work history, just like your civilian work history, and so it'll be looked at the same way when your resume goes through HR. You also have a business card, which you can see on the left. This includes your name and your contact information, sort of a calling card. You can provide this to potential employers or other people that you're networking with so that they have a way to contact you. Now, both of these items can be either downloaded immediately by clicking on Download Kit, or you can email them to the email address that you signed up with. That way you can access them from a different location. Maybe you're doing this at the library or at a friend's house, or you don't have a printer where you are. And you'll get a file. It's going to include a PDF and also an editable Microsoft Word file for each of these. So maybe if there's something on your resume that you don't think is quite right, or you want to go back and tweak, or you needed to check dates on something, you can edit it right there on your resume and resave that version on your computer. Or you can come back into the tool if it's something that you've entered yourself and edit it because you've created your login account. So that is the finished product. It's going to be a very traditionally formatted resume. It's not very flashy, but what it is very readable by computers who scan HR documents, and it's also very easily understandable by civilian HR professionals.
So we're gonna open it up to questions, Lindsay, and hopefully we'll get a few. I think you've answered the questions as we've gone along.
Great.
Sometimes we don't get questions because the people on the Hangout are so good, and you did a great job. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
A couple of points that I want to bring out for anyone who is viewing is, you know, when we did show this tool to HR managers, they were excited about it because it is a format that they hopefully, if a lot of veterans use it, will come accustomed to, and they'll see a lot more readable resumes from veterans. I think the second thing is these keywords aren't just for resumes. These keywords, the way you articulate what you did in the military, the way you talk about what you did in the military, is also, as you said, Lindsay, part of your elevator pitch when you talk to employers. We did have a question from D'Amico Ellis, and he asked, how does it work and how do I get started? We replied with the URL. So if anyone wants to, again, if you go to resumeengine.org and try this technology out, if you have questions, you can surely come back to us vis-a-vis YouTube or via the Career Connections site and ask these questions, and we can get back to you. I think we're going to wait a couple more minutes and wrap it up. Are there any other points that you want to make, Lindsay?
I think that one of the things that a couple people who have tested it out have noticed so far is that there's one standard resume format, and so we've gotten a couple requests for, oh, can I change the font? Can I do things like that on it? We think that's a great idea. That's something we hope to be able to offer in the future. But just to remind you, for the time being, when you finish your resume in the tool, feel free to download it in that Word document and go through and make it your own. It doesn't necessarily have to look exactly like it does when it comes out. A little bit of personalization is always a great thing to add to a resume.
Okay, well, again, I think you were so great that we didn't have that many questions. We're going to do these Hangouts routinely with Lindsay. The next one we'll do is in a couple weeks. We'll ask veterans to join us. Vis-a-vis the Hangout, they can actually talk to us. Maybe we'll walk them through it and ask them for the questions live. So keep your eyes out for that. Again, Lindsay, thank you for joining us. We look forward to working with you and improving the technology.
Thank you.
And we look forward to working with IO Studios as well.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day.